Hi and welcome to Who Really Cares, a podcast brought to you by Carers in Bedfordshire, all about carers and the issues that they face. Today I'm joined by Sadie. Sadie is the Young Carers lead at Daubney Academy here in Bedfordshire, and Sadie has an incredible story to tell. Not only has she built an amazing support network for the young carers at her school, but she has done that through her own lived experience as a carer, and she's brought what she's learned as a carer straight into her school community with amazing results. Sadie is incredibly humble and credits her senior leadership team for helping her build this, but honestly, you'll be so amazed with the amount of energy she puts into her work, and it was a joy to hear about it. Sit back and enjoy my chat with Sadie. Hi Sadie, thank you for allowing me to come to Daubney Academy with you today and talk to you about all the good work that you do here. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about you, because you have obviously set something up that's really great in this school, but it obviously comes from a personal place. So I know a little bit about your background, in that you yourself became a carer quite suddenly.
I did, yeah. So my husband became ill in, I want to say 2017, that might be wrong. He just got out of bed one day and couldn't apply any pressure through his foot. He went to the hospital, and his original diagnosis, I can never say it, was plantar fasciitis.
Yes, I've heard of that. When it hurts to stand, basically, on your heel or whatever.
Then there was a really big 18-month battle of numerous very strong medications and lots of different tests and scans, and basically he had lost blood flow to his lower limb, so he was suffering from lower limb ischemia. So they decided to amputate in May 2020, right in the middle of COVID. No one was allowed to go and visit him. It was very difficult trying to get any adoptions or anything like that to the house, really. So yeah, overnight you could say.
And so obviously there's a physical aspect to the caring you're suddenly doing, but also a massive emotional impact, I'm sure.
The emotional impact was huge. My husband changed very drastically, really. He was always very chilled, laid back and calm, but because he was in a lot of pain, it was very tough. Very tough.
And so you had children at this stage as well, so...
I did, yeah.
So you they're suddenly become young carers?
They did, yeah.
And did they take on an active role straight away, or was that something that you had to sort of teach them, that this is now new normal?
My son, no. My daughter, yes. It took her a long time to actually look at her dad. She really struggled because obviously his appearance had changed. Helping, she's always been very helpful anyway. So when I registered my daughter as a young carer, it was really difficult to establish what were her caring roles and what was just doing chores.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very, very quick.
But that's a common thing though, that a lot of parents of young carers struggle with, is that all children should help around the house to some degree. So what makes my child a young carer above and beyond what other people's children do? Absolutely.
And I think because I was doing more of the personal care role, so I was helping him in and out of the bath, and he was very, very stubborn and refused to use a commode. He had a bottle, but I would empty the bottle and all of that. So I think because she didn't do any of that side of it, there's many children that do, I think that was where it was quite difficult to almost identify, is she a young carer or is she just a child that's helping around the house?
Yeah. And did she struggle with that identification?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. So she has never ever been to a group.
Right.
She's never asked for a grant. She's never it's only since we started the groups in the school that she started attending.
And is that because I've heard before that a lot of young carers don't want that label, or they don't want that to define them?
Absolutely.
Is that what she was feeling?
I think for her, she felt like she was just helping her dad.
Yeah.
And then my son got diagnosed with autism, and she's huge help with him. She really is. She's just a dream, really. She stays very calm, and again, she just feels like she's just being a sister. So yeah.
I mean, I get that from her perspective, because that is her normal. That's the way she's grown up, and you just get used to what is your normal. And I get that, but it's nice that children who do go above and beyond at home are getting the extra support.
Absolutely.
Because some of them aren't, the figures are there that young carers are impacted by their caring role. They are more likely to not go straight on to further education. All of these things that we know figure-wise. So whilst it might be their normal, for us as a larger society, we know that it's not.
I think for my daughter, she was very fortunate. Once all of the COVID restrictions were lifted, we are quite a tight family with extended members of family. So she was very lucky and able to have her downtime with her nan and her granddad or her uncle or friends. They'd go out, and so she was able to get that downtime. Whereas there are some young carers that have absolutely no other support other than the young carer group and school.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us on to your work here, and how, because it's just interesting to me that you had this personal experience so that you were able to transfer that into your work in the school. So did you come here and then sort of go, oh, this aspect of the school is missing, I know how to fix this?
No.
Is that so? No.
No. So I was doing my pastoral role within the school, and then I started to do a little bit more safeguarding, and one of the students had booked in a meeting with Tizzy from Young Carers, and I remember going to the DSL and saying, look, is there any chance in September I can just run with Young Carers? And she was like, yes, please do, absolutely, please do it. So I didn't particularly have anything in mind. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to get as much praise as what I've received. I don't feel I'm doing anything extra special, if I'm honest. So initially I sent a form out, and there was the form went out to all the students, to 650 students, and I got some responses, bless them, they weren't young carers, but they felt they were. And then after going through them and being in contact with Natalie, I think I had 12 registered young carers then. Natalie come in and done an assembly, and then another 12 come forward. So
off the back of the assembly.
The back of the assembly.
And that was just because Natalie, who is part of our young carers team, comes in and explains basically what a young carer does and what a young carer is, and so then the students are able to self-identify, because often they remain hidden because they're just another student. No one knows what goes on at home.
Exactly.
So that's great. So that's how it all sort of started. But it's now growing from there, right?
It is. I'm trying to do so in my first meeting, when there was me original 12 young carers, I kind of said to them, what do you want from me? What is it that you want? Because I can put on lunches, I can put on... I take that back, because I never wanted to put on lunches, and I didn't want to affect their social time in school, because I kind of felt like that was their only downtime that they actually had. for some young carers. So I kind of we decided to go with the DSL. We sat down and we spoke about it, and we decided we would do a form time every other week, so it changes, so they're not missing a certain part of the personal development curriculum. I asked them, what is it that you actually would like from me? And they said, nothing, we just want to chat. So I kind of let them talk amongst themselves. Then we had the assembly quite early on in September, I believe. And then I had parents contact me saying, actually, I think my child's a young carer, and I think, my child is registered, but they just don't want to be involved in any of the groups. And I got that because my daughter was the same. She was registered, but didn't want to be involved in any of the groups. So slowly I started to engage with the ones that didn't want to be involved in any of the group. And then we had a slightly larger number. And I said to them again, look, the group's evolved, we've moved on a little bit, what is it that you would like from me? And again, they were just like, do you know what, miss, we'd like a trip. I think they said they'd like a lunch, they'd like, just some other little bits. It wasn't anything massive. We sat round in a group, spoke quite openly. I said, if anyone would like to share their story, please do. Some did, some didn't. There was some students that were shocked that other young carers were dealing with personal finances, other young carers were dealing with personal care, other young carers it was just purely like mental health and what they were going through on that side. And as the group from year 7 to 11 kind of evolved, and I said, I'm not expecting you all to be friends, I'm not expecting you all to run around the playground, skip and love each other. But what I would like is when you're walking past each other, you just go, you're right, everything all right. And if you feel one of our team's down, you come and you get me. And we've got some high profile students, as all schools do, and a couple of them are young carers. And this particular younger student, they walked past and they were like, oh, are you all right? And this younger student just beamed from ear to ear that an older high profile student remembered who they were and actually checked in. And then the meetings evolved to, we had tea, coffee, cake, biscuits, they'd just sit and talk absolute nonsense. We spoke about how would you see a young carer, what do you see? Because for myself, when I think of young carers, I think very much of what you see on the telly, like Children in Need and them kind of charities. And a lot of the young carers that you see on the TV programmes, unfortunately, live in complete deprivation, whereas some of my young carers don't. And
the thing I was talking to a teacher from another school, and this is a school that would be considered like for affluent students, and she was saying, well, the problems that the young carers are facing there are exactly the same. Like they're not, like money doesn't, obviously it'll change your situation slightly, but it doesn't change the fundamentals of what's going on at home. So it does affect everybody, and it affects everybody differently. It's a completely unique situation for everybody. But what I really liked what you said then was that you've almost created this team where they look out for each other.
Absolutely.
And that is so empowering for the kids, isn't it? Because they don't feel isolated, they don't feel alone, which is what a lot of carers say. Because you've created this bond between them, which I just think is fantastic, Sadie.
There was one meeting where all the year 11s did was talk about they'd just got their prom date, and they were talking about prom, and the younger years were joining in and saying like what they think they would wear to prom and what colour they would like their prom theme to be. So just because they weren't actively involved in that situation that was happening, they were still able to participate and their voice was listened to. And that's one thing. The other thing that I do try and push is when someone's talking, we don't talk over them, let them have their say, let them have their if you've had a really bad night and you've been up with your mum or your dad or your grandparent, and you've only had 2 hours sleep and you're saying look up and down all night, someone may turn around and go, I don't know how you do that, and then it starts a conversation of, well, you just do it. But then how do you come to school? But then how do you... Yeah.
And so in terms of those issues within the school, like, because those young carers are now self-identified and they're part of your group, are things put in place naturally now to support them with their, homework if they're struggling or anything like that? Because obviously that's what a lot of young carers report back, that they can't kind of do what all the other kids do.
Absolutely.
Because their timelines and deadlines and everything are skew with. Absolutely.
What I'm waiting for is the hard data, so in September, where I can then identify how many carers have actually had detention for either lateness to school, uniform, not doing their homework. So all the teachers got emailed out the list of young carers, so they are aware.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty good, to be fair. If you say, like, little Jimmy ain't done his homework, he's had a pretty tough week, a lot of the teachers are like, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I am very interested. So we do first class reward trips here, and they're a brilliant trip. Look, they go all over. It's amazing, all different trips. I'm interested to see how many of the young carers haven't made it onto their trips.
And they wouldn't make it on because they lose points or something? Or
Yeah, so it would be if they're late to school, if their uniform's not correct. So it's over a period of time. If they're late to school, uniform's not correct, behaviour points, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, see, things like that. See, uniform's not right. You sort of don't... Most people wouldn't even consider how young caring would impact your uniform, but
exactly.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Because you're up washing somebody else's bed sheets, or you just, you haven't got somebody who's on top of these things for you.
You just find that with the young carers, they themselves are not their priority.
Yeah.
So they're not going to care if their, uniform isn't how it should be. They'll just put on a top and come to school, and they're in school.
Yeah.
It's not, I need to make sure I've got my blazer, shirt, tie, trousers, shoes.
And in terms of attendance and stuff, are you tracking all of that with the young carers?
We will do, so that will come, like I said, when it'll be September. And I'm not a data person, but I'm really intrigued to see the data behind the young carers.
I think it's really important as well, because there are so many things that schools can do to put in place just a little bit of extra support.
Absolutely.
Flexible deadlines, and I mean what you've constructed with just having a basic recognition and a basic low-level support of just talk to each other is incredibly impactful. But then of course it's about learning what else can be done to make sure that they get to reach their full potential and they don't sort of fall by the wayside which is what has been happening.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see, and it will be also interesting to see what else other schools can do, which is why I wanted to talk to you, because you're doing something really great here, but there's a lot of schools that aren't.
And I think that I'm very fortunate. We've got quite a large pastoral team here, so I was able to dedicate a certain amount of my time per week to be able to concentrate on young carers, whereas other schools aren't as fortunate to have the size team that we've got, and we're only a small secondary school. When you go to a school where there's 2,000 students, all of them, all members of staff are all hands on deck.
Yeah, but I mean it's in their best interest to get as many students, through.
Absolutely,
doing their best.
I think the biggest thing I can't quite get my head round is, there's no funding for these students.
No.
There's nothing. They literally have nothing. Whereas other students who come into the school, the sad cold hard facts is when students come into the school, there's a pound sign above their head, and that is the money that they bring to the school. So you have your pupil premium, your pupil premium plus. Then you'll have additional funding that will come alongside different students, and that's great. That makes the school run. But then you've got your young carers, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's all very well, I could be speaking very out of turn here. It's all very well the government going, and they're amazing people. Thanks for saying I'm amazing, but I've got nothing to show for that. We don't go into work and work super duper hard to stay on the same money from the day we started till the day we leave. We go in to progress. You know, they have absolutely nothing. And all the school budgets have been cut right back to the bone, and we're expected to do things for young carers. So 9 times out of 10, it does come out of our own pockets.
Yeah.
We don't whinge, we don't moan about it. You just do it because you want these children to have something.
I mean, it's the same with carers across the board.
Absolutely.
They're not funded by anybody.
No.
I mean, carers are just expected to get on with it.
They are, yeah.
Which is why charities like ours exist, and we are funded by local authorities and things like that. So there is that in place, but it's you know, can we say it's enough?
No, I don't think it is.
I'm not sure we can either, because the amount of free work that carers do and young carers do is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if they didn't do it, if they just flat out refused and said, well, I can't, I'm not, then as a functioning society, what happens to these people? So, you know, yeah, I know, money's always, it always comes down to money.
It absolutely does. I mean, I am very fortunate. I can't grumble about Daubney or the SLT. So soon as I started to run with young carers, I got pulled by the head teacher, Mr. Carter, and he said, you know, I'm going to find you a little pot of money, and he did. Then we had, at Easter, I arranged for Oakley Motorcycle Club to come and donate Easter eggs for our young carers. So we had 4 fantastic bikers turn up. On the playground there was eggs. I mean, every kind of event I do, I try and have a cake because I think they need to be celebrated.
Yeah.
So there was the eggs, the cake, you know, the squash, the drink, hot cross buns. The young carers got to sit on the motorbikes and, you know.
Look, Sadie, it's amazing because it's like so small. It's such a, you know, it's a little gesture.
Yeah.
But to them it means the world.
Yeah, they loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Of course they did. And it's not just the fact that they get cake and hot cross buns. It's the fact that they get recognition. This is what I do.
And the members of Oakley that come were really surprised, really shocked that of the number of young carers that we had within the school community. And talking to them and saying, you know, look, you've got to remember, we're only a small school. I know other schools have, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70, hundreds of young carers. You know, we're only very, very small. So I suppose I'm very fortunate because we are small, I am able to do a lot more with them.
Yeah, well, you know, but there's also a lot of schools who claim they have no young carers.
Absolutely.
And that's because, and that can't be true. We know that there's like 1 in 4 or something, you know, in every classroom there are people caring. And so the fact that some schools don't recognise them at all and claim that there are none is just purely they just haven't asked.
It's delusional.
They haven't looked.
No.
And maybe because they don't have the money or they don't have the staff or whatever. But I mean, that's the first barrier. We've got to at least say we have some.
Yeah, it's identifying them. I went off on a bit of a tangent then. What I was going to say was on, so when Oakley come in to deliver the Easter eggs, the school decided that we were going to have a non-uniform day. It was £2 to participate, and all that money went to young carers. So that made my pot substantially bigger. I then, the head and the whole of the SLT are doing a charity walk. I can't remember how many miles, that's really bad, isn't it? They're doing a sponsored walk for young carers as well, which will make the pot a little bit bigger again. So hopefully over time, the pot will continue to grow and we'll be able to help the young carers that are coming through the school. That's what we're aiming for. So then I can go, right, I want to take these young, or my group, on a trip, and the money's there. It can be done in the school day, so it's not affecting any of their care responsibility.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay for it, so there's no financial issues. We're just going to go, we're going to have a good time, and we'll be back by the end of the day.
That's brilliant.
That's where I want to get to, and I want to try and do it so we're having at least 2 a year.
And so what would you say to, say there's somebody listening who's, head of pastoral at an upper school, but they're not getting support from their senior leadership team. What would you suggest that they could do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just, like I said, I'm very, very fortunate. Would you...
I'll tell you there's something they could do. They could get them to listen to you.
No, I'm not that great.
No, but I mean they could use you as an example of what can be achieved, what can be done. You know, start small, it'll grow, people get behind it, you know, because the fact is that you're created something small, but it's now getting bigger, it's supporting more young people, you're getting known for it within the local community as well as the greater community. You're being held up as a school that's doing a great thing, and you know that can only be good for all schools to sort of try and raise their level.
I mean, it depends. I suppose it does depend on what kind of relationship you have with your SLT. Our SLT are very much an open door policy. You know, if they're in their offices and they're not in meetings, their doors are open and you walk past and there is everything all right. So it is easy to talk and to bounce ideas about. So I suppose that gives me a little bit of a step on the ladder, because I am able to go, and I do have wacky ideas and I do get slapped down, you know, that's crazy, we can't do that. But yeah, I just say what's my mad idea of the next moment, really.
That's good though. That's good. I mean, it's nice that they've created a culture where that's okay.
Yeah.
That you can voice your crazy ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that trickles down as well, and it even trickles down to the kids, doesn't it?
Yeah. So on one of the meetings that we had, and I said, you know, what would you like to do? And they said, oh, we'd love to do an escape room, and I got the quote for the escape room, but then the price tripled because it was, the price just tripled. And I said, I'd done my, you know, please, these are young carers, let's help. No, they were just like, no, this is the price, this is, you know, you need 2 rooms because of...
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's fine. We won't do an escape room. But then I looked into what alternative thing we could do, and it was actually one of them cold cases from Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So we've decided we're going to have 2 groups, and we're just going to order a pizza, and they can sit and do their cold case. And I try and get, where possible, SLT involved to come and sit with them, so they don't, you know, they're not always... SLT in the school are sometimes, they're scary people, they're authoritative, they're...
unapproachable.
Absolutely,
sometimes.
Whereas ours are not. And when they're sitting there trying to unsolve a crime, you know, it's that bonding time again. And
yeah, gosh, all those little things make a big difference. And with a lot of our young carers say that during the holidays it's actually often harder for them.
Yeah.
Because often school is seen as a respite from what is going on at home. Is there anything that schools can do to help with that, or is that really just a...
So we send, on big holidays, we send out, like we call them welfare packs. So they'll have like little things in them. They'll have all the telephone numbers you need to contact, whether it be, I don't know, Childline, you know. Yeah,
local services.
All of them numbers that they need to contact if they need support. Coos another good one because they can text. So it's not like they're actually talking to someone, it could just be they're texting a friend. Colouring, you know, we love a good quote, we put that in the pack. Just a little pack of Haribo. You know, just something very, very small, but they know that they can go to their bag in their school bag and get out whatever they need at the time. The holidays are some of the best and some of the worst times for a lot of students.
Yes, and it is difficult for schools to have any impact during the holidays.
Absolutely.
But what you can do is sort the term times, I suppose.
We always do pre and post check-ins as well with all of our vulnerable students before the holidays. This is what I mean, we are very, very fortunate because we have a large pastoral team that enables us to do that. So
you've got enough time amongst you to do all of that. And do you, with that group that you've set up of young carers, have you noticed that they some of them would support each other through the holidays. Is that happening yet, or?
No, not yet, I don't think. There's some where there's a couple of students where friendships have formed. But I haven't heard.
Maybe that's something you could think about, like, you know, buddy system or something like that. Just and you know, call if, I don't know. Maybe that's impacting the students too much.
I've really tried to let them take their own lead on it. I want them to have some ownership of what they want because of what they're doing. If that makes sense. Yeah, because a lot of what they do isn't up to them. So let this be up to them. No, that's so true. That's so true. This is why you're in charge and I'm not. No, not at all. Because it's no different to us sitting here and you saying, like, well, what about this? If I took that to them, they'd just say yes or no, or don't be stupid, miss, or whatever, you know. I do make it very, very much a safe space that they can talk whatever they're feeling, and if they do swear, then there's no sanction for that, because that's their feeling at the time. And there'll be time when students come and talk to me and they'll say, you know, this happened, and you know, rather than going, oh dear, that must have been very, very difficult for you. You've had a shit time, mate. That's hard. That's tough.
Yeah.
You know, how have you got through that? How have you? I don't think I would be able to. And you know, we talk about our own experiences, and I'll talk about mine. They'll talk about theirs when we're talking one-on-one.
Yeah, your caring would have helped with that.
I don't want them to feel that I'm above them in any way, because I'm not. Myself, I am a carer. I work full time.
Yeah.
They are carers. They're in education full time. It is equally as tiring. I go home and do the washing. They go home and do the washing. I go home and do the cooking. They go home and do the cooking. It's very, very similar. There's nothing different apart from age.
Yeah.
And I get paid to do what I do because I work full time.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Have they taught you anything, do you think?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they've taught me not to be resentful.
That's interesting.
Because they are still young. They're happy-go-lucky. You know, they're just like, it's what it is, isn't it? And I think I've kind of took that from them. It's not right, but it's okay. Crack on, we move, carry on.
So prior to learning that, you would have felt, why me? Why has this happened to us?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Big old pity party. It's always me. What now? What else can the world throw at me?
Yeah.
You know, whereas now it's a bit like, that is what it is. I can't change it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that a lot. I like that what you said about them just cracking on, and that is the resilience and the sort of buoyancy of youth. I think because life wears you down, doesn't it? After a while, you just get tired, and they don't really have that yet.
No, and for me, it's celebrating the small wins as well. Like, they'll come and go, oh, miss, I went to, I don't know, Army Cadets, and oh my God, that's amazing, how'd you get on? Did you, you know, make any new friends? You know, because they've managed to get an hour out doing something that they want or that they love or whatever, you know, it's, I'm their cheerleader. Ooh, go. I really am, it's awful, I am.
And so have you managed to transfer that back into your life? Because I'm so aware that you're a carer as well. So, like, you know, you've got. No,
I find it really hard to accept any kind of praise. Really, really hard. So when people are like, you know, oh, you're amazing. No, I'm not, just a person. Or I don't know how I'd deal with that. Well, you just get on with it, don't you? Do you know what I mean? It's so. No, I just try and be a listening ear, and if I can advise, I'll advise from my own personal experience. If I don't know, I'll look into it and reach out for help. And
And so what about you though? Like, who listens to you? Like, where do you need that for yourself as well?
Oh, I do have it. I do have friends when I'm like, you know, oh, everything's really bad, blah, and they're like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, those chats are good, aren't they?
I have that. I do. I have a really good, strong support network. I do, in school and out of school.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do it.
No, that's where I was going with that, because I was like, how can you be a person who constantly gives, which is what you're doing? You're giving your time and advice and your energy, like you're giving your energy to other people, and when you've got such a massive caring role yourself, because you're caring for your husband as well as now your son, and you're raising another child.
Yeah.
So I'm sure energy is so precious to you.
It is. So once a year we go away, me and my children, without my husband. That's our break. It sounds awful, doesn't it? But that is our break. We go away.
Sorry to interrupt. That doesn't sound awful at all.
I think it does. We've just leave them at home and go on holiday.
No, I don't think that's horrible. I don't think that sounds awful. And see that what you expressed then though is completely 100% carer guilt.
Yeah.
You feel guilty that you are leaving him, but of course you need to leave him, because if you didn't, you would be caring on holiday.
Absolutely, and that's really hard. Really, really hard. We went. Before he had his leg amputated, we went away on a huge family holiday, and the worst thing was not sitting down as a family and eating, because I would get the kids' dinner, get his dinner, and then get my dinner, and then everyone's finished and I'm sitting there like, lovely.
Yeah.
Just eat up and carry on.
That's not a holiday though.
No, it wasn't. So we go away, me, my children, my brother, his children, and my mum. We all go away together, and it is just a lovely break. Everyone gets what they like. Everyone has a bit of a break, and then we back to the grindstone.
Yeah.
Really.
But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it works for us. I know it wouldn't work for everybody, but it does work. Does work for us. And then throughout the year, my husband and my son go away with my dad and my uncle. They're actually away at the minute. They're watching road racing in Ireland, so they then have their time together, their holiday, doing what they love. Again, rightly or wrongly, it gives me and my daughter a bit of a break.
I really like that though, Sadie, because what you're describing there is that everybody's getting respite.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in their own way. And so many families struggle with accessing respite, finding respite. But what you've managed to create there is something that's really flexible and diverse, and everybody, and it's not a traditional family holiday then.
No.
But that's not what you guys need.
No.
You need time away from the caring and the situation. So, because a lot of carers complain that they can't get respite, but maybe what you're describing is another way of looking at it. It's not just normal holidaying, it's...
Yeah, you've got to do what works for you. A couple of weeks ago in the Easter holidays, it was just me and my husband that went away, and that equally was just as nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to, when I was away with my husband, to slow down and not take everything a mile a minute, because you're always trying to chase your tail. When you're working, so trying to do things at work, and then when I'm at home, I'm trying to make sure that all the housework's done, and perhaps to the point where it does become a little bit obsessive, because just get it done, and in the back of my head there's always that fear that what if the paramedics turn up and the house is a mess, and there's always, because you never know. My husband's on a lot of medication, a lot of blood thinners, and when he cuts himself, my God, it's gruesome. But that is always one of my fears. So constantly,
what, that your house is going to be messy?
Yeah. So I'm constantly on the go.
Oh my goodness. Sadie, that is an unnecessary pressure.
It is, absolutely. I mean, when the kids were little, all their clothes had to be ironed. Literally everything had to be ironed.
Oh my God, that's just hell.
Now I'm I don't matter, put it in tumble for 10 minutes, it'll be fine. But I do. So I kind of...
Isn't that funny though that you do that? We do that to ourselves.
And I think a lot of it is nervous energy. My mum goes, she's stress cleaning again, because something's happened, and I think, let me just clean and it'll be all right. And it's not even OCD, because I can sit there and think, my dog's molting, I'm not going to hoover.
Maybe it's actually like a way of you calming yourself down, like
it's just redirected energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which means you live in a lovely clean house.
Not all the time. Not all the time. And no, I won't take it, because it's not. But I do tend to that's when they know that, oh God, Mum's about to explode
stressed.
Because
everything's getting done.
And then everyone gets up and they're like, anything, what would you do, Mum?
Well, that's good. They know you
well.
They can read
me.
Trained. That's all amazing, Sadie, and I think what you've created here at Daubney is great. But I also believe that perhaps it couldn't have happened as well as it did if you hadn't have gone through what you've gone through.
Absolutely, and I think my next big thing is, when I talk to parents as well, because there's a lot of parents that don't want it because they feel there's almost like social care involvement as soon as they say, yes, my child's a young carer.
Yeah.
So my next push, and I do, when I talk to the parents to get consent to send the referral in, I do say to them, there's no, you don't have to worry, this doesn't mean, there's going to be assessments for this or assessments for that. So
just to be clear, they're worried that if they tell you that their young person is doing caring duties at home, they're worried that will mean that you have to alert social services. Absolutely. That this person is not being raised properly because they're there is a lot of that. So I want to tackle that, and I want to tackle all different ethnicities to say, actually, do you know what, it's not cultural, your child is a young carer. Okay, so I've got two questions. First one is, how are you going to tackle that issue of social services fear? Do you know yet? No, I think so I am very honest, and I do say, both my children are young carers and I've never once had social care involvement. There is, I try and talk from my own experience. Look, I know it's really scary. So it's just a communication thing. Absolutely, being open and honest and speaking from experience. Okay. And number two was the thing you mentioned about the cultural differences, because obviously we've noticed with our statistics and numbers at Carers in Bedfordshire that there are some cultures that don't register with us. Yep. As a rule. There's obviously exceptions, but for the most part they don't, and it's because culturally they don't feel they need us, because it is just what you do. You look after your grandma, you look after somebody in your family. They tend to have bigger extended families, and we're talking about South Asian communities and things like that, and that they feel that reaching out for help would be an admission of poor family, weakness and that kind of thing. So how are you going to tackle that? That one I don't know yet. I'm still thinking of it. That is one of my plans for next year, though. I've been very fortunate here yet again, where I've managed to get a couple of families on board. A couple of families that are like, absolutely, thank you so much for thinking of my children. But there are still some that are like, no thank you. Yeah, of course. And of course there always will be. You're not going to get 100% buy-in. But what I think the answer to the first one is exactly the same as the second one. I think it's communication. Yeah. And I think it's sharing the stories, being loud and proud about it, really, and going, this is who we are and this is what we do. Everybody's welcome as long as you fit into this thing, and just keep saying it. Yeah, definitely. Like the young carers here, they don't have badges, they're not, to other students, they're not identifiable. Yeah. So every picture I take of the young carers, it is their backs. They never have their face in it. And we're trying to get creative with that as well. Because a lot of them, they personally don't want their identities, shared amongst their peers. And I try and put that into the conversations as well. Look, your child's face is not going to be on a poster. Your child's face is... And if I'm just wondering whether or not that could change a little bit, if they wanted to, in terms of something like, say Natalie comes and does an assembly, and then a load of more people go, well, actually, I do that at home. Yes, I do that. And whatever. And what if there was some kind of, some kind of way that some of the young carers could tell their own stories if they wanted to, from their experience, kind of like a... you could do it anonymously. Yeah, you could do... Yeah, and I did think about that for the display board, it could be a snippet of the month, and that's
how they see the world through their eyes. They get up early, they help mum out of bed, they get her washed and dressed, they strip the bed, put that in the wash, get mum breakfast, and then they get themselves ready. Then they make mum's lunch. Them kind
but see,
of.
Even if you had that very short, almost like a, I don't know if you've got a school bulletin or something like that, where you could just have carer corner, and what do you do between 8 and 9 in the morning, or what do you do before school?
Yeah.
What do you do first thing when you get home? And just make all the other students think, I don't have to do that. I don't do any of that. That kind of thing would just sort of elevate the story, I guess.
Yeah, we do. The other students, when the motorbikes come in, there was a couple of students that were like, well, what are they getting? Why are they there? Who are they for? And, they're young carers. Oh, that's what young carers get. They get all of, so they just trying to hype them up a little bit.
Just for that, not only for their status in the school, but also for their own.
Yeah, it's more for their own rather than the status. A lot of them can hold their own. Yeah. Well, they've had to. Yeah. So.
I mean, they're probably some of the most resilient people in the school. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they could probably teach everybody a lot with some of the things you hear they have to do. It's amazing. Yeah. And your kids are just the same. So.
There was big barriers for myself doing it to break down, though, to be honest. So when I first started my pastoral job, I was on the behaviour side. So I ran the isolation unit, so they saw me as the big bad person. And then I'm going to them like, are you okay? And they're like, why being nice? It's that kind of... So there has been things where, I'm talking to a student and my angry face is on and one of my young carer walks past and I'm like, oh, hello, darling. It's very... Yeah, there's been a lot to break down because they're like, oh, no.
Yeah. So you've had to change your persona. Do you still do the isolation?
Occasionally, yeah.
Oh, see.
I quite like being angry.
I know you now, Sadie, it's either cleaning or angry.
Yeah, it is, or angry cleaning. It's one or the other. But the other thing I didn't know was that even if you have your own individual needs, you can still be registered as a young carer. And I didn't know that, and it blew my mind. So I didn't know my son could be registered, even though he has a diagnosis of autism, and needs quite a bit doing for himself.
Oh yeah, but because he's caring for his dad. Well, absolutely. No, you don't need... Yeah, I mean, no. Yeah.
And I think that's a big myth that needs busting as well, really.
Yeah.
So you could have, 3 children, all of which have autism, all caring for each other, helping each other, looking after each other, but parents might not know that they can
all be registered as young carers. Yeah, that's very true, especially if there's sibling carers. Because often one sibling would be registered as a young carer, but the other wouldn't, even though there's somebody else that they're caring for, like a grandparent or something. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. All right, we'll spread that one.
Yeah, I do think, honestly, that's one that needs to be...
Oh, so
that's all right.
Our time's up. Well, I think that's actually quite timely because I feel like we've had a really great chat.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
So much.
Thank you.
No, I think what you're doing here is great, and I just think more schools need to do what you're doing. So, and I think the fact that it came out of your own experience is just brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadie.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll agree that that was an inspirational chat I had with Sadie, and I'd like to thank her and all the senior leadership team at Daubney Academy for ensuring that their young carers are supported. And if you are involved at school, if you go to school or you work at a school, be sure to mention to your senior leadership team that this is what you want to see at your school too, because every young carer deserves support. Finally, I'd like to say, if you enjoyed this episode, then please do like and subscribe. Get in touch if you've got an idea of who you'd like to hear from. I'm always looking for new guests. We've got some really great episodes already recorded though and coming out soon, so be sure to like and subscribe. But you can always get in touch with us via our website at www.carersinbeds.org.uk. Thanks again for listening. My name is Nikki, and I'll see you next time.